My name is Joe Groh. I'm with Author Circle, part of Voice of Men 360. I'm also founder of Mastermind Group, and I'm the host of Author Circle, as well as peer support coordinator of Voice of Men 360. Voice of Men 360 is a nonprofit organization founded in 2020 and is based in Toronto, Canada. Voice of Men 360 was born out of seeing a tremendous need and stepping up to provide services to help support and overcome men's and boys' life challenges. We're also part of International Men's Day. International Men's Day has been serving for over 21 years, and so far 90 countries around the world join together and doing various activities regularly. International Men's Day follows 6 pillars, which is the overall well-being of boys and men. We follow in the same footsteps. Voice of Men has Author Circle to recognize and appreciate the individuals who have been contributing the areas of boys and men's issues through their writings. Participants around the world will be joining and sharing their contributions and experiences. This show runs usually in the third Saturday of every month from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Before I introduce our special guest today, I'd like to go through our disclaimer. We'd like to remind you that Voice of Men 360 mission is always delivered with good faith toward peaceful harmony. The views and opinions expressed in today's episode are those of our speakers and do not represent Voice of Men 360. Our organization engages in discussion forums to offer inspiration and create awareness to the issues of men who wish to overcome their life challenges. We're not providing medical or therapeutic advice. Should you require this type of assistance, we recommend that you contact a medical professional immediately. If you have questions or concerns about today's episode or any Voice of Men 360 contact, please email us info@voiceofmen360.org. And I'd like to introduce today's guest is a very good friend of mine named Wayne Kuhn. I've known Wayne since 1986, where we actually took the real estate course together and we went different paths. He chose to stay in the business. After a year and a half, I chose to go a different direction for personal reasons. And so we've had a very long friendship, a confidant, and Wayne is actually in Guelph, Ontario, Canada, for those of you who are in other parts of the world. He's married to Suzanne, very beautiful lady, and has 7 grandchildren. He's recently retired from a long career in real estate as a real estate broker and investor. And he's one of the nicest men that God has ever created. So I'm so happy that he's here. And he's going to be talking about his book. But I want to mention as well that he's also a distinguished Toastmaster, not just a regular, everyday, ordinary Toastmaster. He's in the distinguished category. And his book is quite a remarkable book called It's Time to Recharge. So we're going to be definitely encountering a recharge time here with Wayne today. And I've taken a lot of notes. I think I have 22 pages of notes. I don't think we'll be able to get through them all, but the first half of our hour conversation will be focused around the challenges that Wayne has discovered in different people's lives. And the second half will be the solutions that Wayne is offering that he's discovered that has worked in his own life and that he's learned through different courses, books, seminars, etc. So I'm really thrilled to have Wayne here today, because this is a special treat since we know each other and have a cherished, deep friendship. So without further ado, I'd like to go through the book. There's many things that we can discuss, but today we'll be talking about Wayne's awesome book, Time to Recharge. Now, tell us a little bit about how did you come up with the idea of a book on recharging, how to elevate your mindset, increase your sales, business opportunities. So it's not just personal, it's also helping people with their business to recharge their business.
Well, let me begin by saying good morning, Joe. And thank you for this opportunity. This is just so awesome. I know I've been following you on the YouTube with your different interviews, and you interviewed several high-profile people, and so I'm honored to be here. Sometimes I'm even humbled. So, yes, let's jump in. Thank you. Jump into Recharge, and I just happen to have a copy here too. Wow.
Well, that's awesome.
I love Recharge, and it's become almost an all-consuming thing for me. And I guess what I would start by saying is Recharge started likely maybe 10 years ago. And what happened is it answered the question, or the question came up, why are some people more successful than other people? And in the real estate world, like I sold real estate for 35 years, we'd have a whole lot of people, some that were doing extremely well, that make thousands of dollars, some close to $1 million in commission a year. And others would just barely get by and have trouble paying their bills. And I thought to myself, what is the difference between the people doing very well and the people not doing so well? Because if you remember, and you were there with me, Joe, in that time when we sat in that classroom studying the real estate course, writing clauses and doing all these things, like I think it was like 6 weeks of intense classroom learning all the time. And I remember my class had about 28 people, and we all were taught the same thing. We all were taught, and we all had to write an exam. We all had to pass at 75% in order to get the license. And so 28 people came out of the class and they all got the license. And we were all taught the same thing. So why do some excel and some didn't? And so to answer that question in a nutshell, to me, it was mindset. It was mindset, and mindset's a huge topic. There's all kinds of books written on it. But I realized that, how do I get these people with a lower mindset? I called it a lower mindset, up to a higher mindset, so that they can function more prosper more. And in the term recharge, like you'll hear this word all over the world all the time. Recharge batteries, recharge this, recharge that. In the context of my book, recharge is the process of raising your mindset so that you think and function at a higher, more productive level. So think of it as 2 areas. You either have a lower mindset, which is kind of worrisome and you're negative and you're indecisive, and there's a whole bunch of words that go around a lower mindset. Or you switch to a higher mindset where you're productive, you're feeling good, you're confident, you have goals, you have dreams, and you want to conquer the world like Superman. So there's never a black and white. It's never black and white. It's like, what decisions can I make today to lead me towards being the person I want to be? And that's the other question is, who do you really want to be? What do you really want to be? And so that kind of is the nutshell of recharge. This is a process that I can lift you up so that you can become the person you want to be.
Well, it's very interesting. I appreciate you mentioning that, because a lot of people are confused. Well, why would you come up with a book like that? How can you even recharge? And they'd even get to a different level in life. It takes change, and change is uncomfortable. When you talked on page 2, it's disruptive. It creates the what if factor. What creates fear? What if I fail? What if they laugh at me? What if it doesn't work out? I think that's a big concern a lot of people have, as I start changing, doing things differently. What if people don't like me anymore? And they act like poor little baby running home to mommy. They don't like me anymore because I'm changing. So there's different concerns that people have when they go through life, is wondering how they can handle it. You had an interesting story about Peter. Actually, coincidence, I have a brother named Peter, but this is a little different story. You have the Peter story on page 6, if I got it correctly from my notes.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about what your opinion is of Peter, or what you were concerned was about Peter, that kind of underlines what we're talking about.
Yes, and of course, Peter is a metaphor. Peter, there's lots of Peters in the world, and one thing I could not understand, and this is a true story. I changed his name, but Peter was in my classroom. Peter never studied. Peter never took homework home. He was a really nice guy. We played on the playground and everything. And then at the end of grade 8, I moved off to the city, and he moved off to the country, and he went to a rural school, and I lost track of him. And Peter always got great grades. He excelled. He'd get A's or B pluses in that on papers. And here I would just struggle to get a C. If I could get a C plus, I'd be winning, you know. And I wonder. So I looked up where Peter was. And Pete, not to put anything down, but I thought Peter would become a professor, an academic scholar, a doctor, you know, something more great in the world, you know, like a Jobs or something, you know, the head of a large corporation like BlackBerry or something like that. But no, Peter drove a delivery truck, and he was quite happy. And that's what he did. And then he retired after 40 years.
So why do you
And
think that is? Why do you
well,
think that he
there's
didn't have the same kind of
to
drive as
me,
someone else?
to me, there's only one answer to that, and that's mindset. Now you can say that's pretty simple, isn't it? Because there's a whole lot of things that change mindset. You mentioned some of the negative things, like what if people, you know, laugh at me? What if they make fun of me? But that's all mindset. If you have a strong enough desire, a strong enough dream, and what you want to go after, then the rest doesn't matter. It's all the mindset around you. So I think, and I don't want to jump ahead, but you know, we'll talk about that a little more. Where did Peter get the mindset that he has from? Because obviously he had the intelligence, he had the gift of learning, and there's other people like that. I even my own within my own family. You know, one of them wanted to be a teacher, and then somebody came along and said, "Oh, you don't want to be a teacher. There's too many teachers out there. You'll never get a job." And so that dream went, and they never taught. So there's people out there that will squash your dream, and you don't. And to recognize that in that moment is magical, but sometimes that isn't recognized. Like I remember on the farm as a kid, going into grade 8, and then going into high school and into college, and I thought, well, what do I want to be? And my parents, you know, we were raised in the farm, and so I was really good with my hands, and so I never got into business. I never got into the academics and how to run a business, all that. I went into a tech thing, and I learned electronics. And I thought, well, why did they say I should go there when I could have went into business and opened a business and been extremely successful? Who made that decision? I don't remember. But that's, you know, those are things that I think early in our life, those decisions are made for us.
Well, you mentioned on page 16 that the low side where people are preoccupied with worry, fear, doubt, anxiety over future negative outcome that may actually never happen. So that could be another instances to what's holding some of us back in accomplishing, and maybe we're scared that we may not just make it.
Definitely.
And external environment, you mentioned on page 18 about, does your environment support or distract you? Is your environment in harmony with what you want to achieve, the goals you have set, the dreams you had visualized? Could that be an issue with some people, that they're just associating with people, like you just said, that are not lifting them up, they're putting them down? And for what reason could that be?
Oh, definitely. And peer groups, like when we're young, who our friends become, I think, has a dramatic effect on the journey that we take. I have 2 boys, and I think it's very evident that they have different intellectual levels, and maybe that intellectual level caused them to choose different spheres of influence. And so one of my boys is very academically strong and has a good job. My other son is not academically strong, but he loves cars and more the touchy thing. Yet both those boys were raised, in our view, Identical. So sometimes the external influence is strong, and sometimes it's what the tools, the gifts God gave you, what can we do with those? And I think that we want to surround people, and this is where recharge comes in. If you take a person and you recharge them, their gifts will flourish and they will become the best they can be. Now, the best they can be might be a truck driver, or the best they can be might be a farmer, or the best they can be might be the president of the United States. Those are all different levels, but the important thing is that they're excited about what they're doing, and they give forth the best, and in that higher mindset. And so, how do we take a person that has a lower mindset, like you say, I can't do that, or I can't speak in front of that group, I've never done that before, like, how do we take that person and say, hey, you can do that, I'm with you, I'm beside you, I'm your cheerleader, we can do that. And that to me is recharging those individuals so that they become the best they can be.
And there's a lot of different distractions now. On page 38, you talk about outside the box, you talk about things that can keep us from our goals, even though we might have the goals that we want to achieve. And there's lots of different distractions that can happen. What could some of those be that could cause someone like a Peter or John or Jimmy just to have the goals, but all of a sudden some distractions happen that they get derailed or off the track?
Yeah, distractions are I don't want to call them distractions. Let's maybe call them life-changing things. There's life-changing things that come along. For example, you meet a girl and you fall in love and you have a baby right away. That'll distract you, because all of a sudden your attention has to go to family and off of career maybe. And so that may slow you down, and you may have to reset your goals and adjust. And those are distractions. Death is a distraction. My sister lost her daughter this year. She's 33 years old, and her life will never get back to where it was. And so she has to rethink and restart saying, start moving ahead and start reconstructing what life is going to look like. Now there's other smaller distractions, like mental health is a distraction, and some of those things will derail people, and it's up to the cheerleaders, it's up to the support system to make sure. And that's why I'm not sure which chapter I talk about, but cheerleaders are support people. Like when I went through a divorce, I always say I flew through it fairly good, and you were there, but I think I was strongest because I had pillars around me to help me from toppling over. And I think some of the men and the boys that are in our society now don't have that pillar, that to prop them up, because we all fall. Life cycles. We all have great days and we all have bad days. But if you have a pillar to prop you up and say, "Oh, come on, Joe, I'm here to recharge you. I'm here to cheer you on. You can do this," then we will go ahead farther, more so. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, but God didn't make us all equal. And so some people are very driven and very focused and very disciplined, and say they don't need as much support as other people. Like I tend to be very I'm not ADD, but my focus it shifts quite a bit. So I need to remind myself every day what my focus is. What do you really want, and where are we going, and here we're going. So what do I do today to get to where I want to go? And so I recharge every day. Some people may not need that. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned several times through your book, what do you really want? I get the impression that that is a challenge for a lot of people, is in a free country of Canada, we have so much selection, like a smorgasbord everywhere. You can have pretty well whatever you want. And the question is, what do you really want?
Yeah.
That seems to be a challenge for people to determine, what do they really want?
Yeah. I took
Because,
sorry.
go ahead.
I took a course about 5 years ago called Thinking into Results. And it was based on this book here, which is Think and Grow Rich. And some people, I'll be honest, some people love this book and some people hate this book. Right? Not everybody buys into that. And the premise is what you think about is what you'll achieve. And that's the simplicity of it. But the reality is our mind, our thoughts create what we want. And once we place that thought in our mind, it creates energy, and that energy creates our direction. So to answer your question about well, now I lost my where I was going with that.
What do you really want?
What do I really want? So what this program does, and that was personally, my personal thing was a lot of people are doing stuff. They have jobs that they're doing, they have life that they're living, but if they had the choice, they wouldn't be doing that. And sometimes the external things are, oh, I don't have enough money. Oh, I don't have the support. I don't, and the external, your circumstances can be excuses oftentimes from keeping you from where you really want. And my personal experience is that back in the 80s, I went to a multi-level marketing program, and it was like, I saw this guy on stage and I thought, wow, this guy freaked me out. I want to be just like him. And I thought I could be like a Tony Robbins. I could get up on stage in front of thousands of people and just let her rip. And my message would be strong and people would love it. And they'd be standing ovations all over. And I thought, wow, this is back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, maybe I want to be a professional speaker. But the success rate on professional speakers is very, very slim. A lot of people out there talking, a lot of people out there speaking, but not very many are making a living at it. And so I never did anything with that. And I went into real estate, and the real estate, I loved it because it provided me good social, lots of money. People loved the product, they wouldn't run from me. And it was a perfect fit for me. But when I took this program and they said, what do you really want? No, what do you really, really want? We dug deep and and what I really wanted to do is be a professional speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I lay that aside?
So Toastmasters really helped you with that, didn't it?
What Toastmasters did is, I think it kept me plugged in. Toastmaster, and you'll see this plaque up here. That's called the Distinguished Toastmaster Award. It's the highest award that Toastmasters gives to their membership. And so I've gone through the program and I've taught the program and I mentored people. And it's about Toastmasters is about communication and leadership skills. And I don't want to promote Toastmasters here, but let me tell you, as far as recharging goes, Toastmasters has the criteria that is exactly what society needs. Because we come in with raw material, I call it. A person is shaken. They're scared to death to talk in front of people, let alone talk in front of one person. We take that person and we encourage them. We give them tools, we nurture them, and we say, hey, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And we say that so many times before you know it, they're going home and saying, I can do this, I'm good, I'm a great speaker. And so it goes on, and all of a sudden they can stand in front of a group of 10 people and present a 5 to 7 minute presentation, and they'll take that into their workplace, and their boss will give them a raise and say, hey, you can run this department now because you can talk to these people. And those are stories that amplify. From my personal standpoint, it gave me a chance to talk to people. And I also competed. Like I've talked to, I think my biggest competition was in front of like 400 people in Toronto, where I lost, but I was there. I got up, I showed up, and I was on stage. And so that was important. So I think what I wanted to leave you with is the thought of Toastmasters is a supportive atmosphere that people need so that they achieve the best they can be. And not everybody wants to be a professional speaker that goes to Toastmasters. We had one fellow said, my daughter's getting married, and I just want to be able to speak at the wedding.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And he's scared like the crap out of him just to do
that. Of course,
and
yeah.
most people say, I don't want to speak. I don't want to speak. You know, so yeah, you've been around me long enough, Joe, that you know how the journey has gone and the benefits of that. So yeah, so when I think of Men 360, I think, wow, there's a lot of guys out there that we can help. You know, we can recharge, and we can make them feel better, yeah. I don't know.
Well, before we have a little break, I'd like you just to backpedal a little bit on the one time in your life. I think this will help some people. We don't need to go through a long detail since our time is limited for all the things we could discuss today with both of our lives. We'd need another 5 hours. But if you can just briefly discuss what happened in the transition between when you went from Electra Home to deciding to get in real estate sales. I know your previous wife already was in the business, but what caused you to be motivated to make a drastic change like that?
Well, there's a little thought that comes by, and I always remember it, is we went into an open house one time, and this open house was this big portly guy, and he was sitting in the chair reading a newspaper, and in the driveway was this big white Cadillac. And I looked at him and I said to myself, I can do that. And I thought, wow, I want to be a realtor because I can do that. I didn't know he wasn't making any money, and he got the Cadillac from another job or something. But I think the thing that the truth of it, I was coming out of Electra Home. They were selling their electronic division that I was working in. And at that time, my wife had been in the business for 4 years. We knew there was money there. It was a big risk because your cash flow doesn't start till likely 6 or 8 months after you get in. But I had come out of years of multi-level marketing programs and training, and that's where I was introduced to Think and Grow Rich. And they told me that if you want to be wealthy, if you want to be influential, you want to get ahead in life, you have to do something for yourself. As long as you work for somebody else, you're not in control of your life. And I have to be careful the way I word that, because there's people out there with great jobs that work for other companies, big companies. I know people at Toyota that make excellent money, and I don't want to put that down, but they encouraged you to start your own business. And so I was coming out of Electra Home and ready to call it a day. I didn't like electronics anymore. It was dead, like sitting in front of a computer all day. Didn't turn me on, sort of thing. Like I wasn't a programmer. I didn't like the work anymore. What I did like is I like people. And I used to do social things when I was Electra Home just to satisfy that need for people. And I knew real estate, I could make oodles of money, obscene money there. And I could work whenever I wanted to work. Now, I learned a lesson about that, because I thought, I can just sleep in whenever I want. No, if you want to make good money, if you're people that are working on their own, like have their own business, work longer hours than people that just have regular jobs. But it's because their passion's in there. It's theirs. It's their baby. and real estate, again, I had mentioned earlier that it's a friendly product. I go into a room of people, they come up to me and say, so what do you think my house is worth? What do you think my house is worth? Whereas some of the trades, oh, he's trying to sell me something, run across the room, or don't let them corner me,
Yeah.
So it was a really friendly product. So that career was, I was blessed, but I was ready to let it go after 35 years. I didn't want to die being a realtor. There's so much to do in life, and I've told you this before on a personal note. I'm excited about it. Sure, I left a lot of money behind, but I don't need the money anymore. I just need to live life and give back and say, how can I contribute to what's left in my life? So,
Well, what I hear
it's,
is that you left from a job where you're working for someone to be able to work for yourself, not necessarily by yourself, but in a position to help others, and you had freedom in a
yes,
the big letter F, freedom. So that is
yes,
really good. So what I
yes.
like to do is take just a couple of minute break just to provide a little more information to our viewing audience about what is Voice of Men 360 all about, and then we'll resume the second half of our conversation with Mr. Wayne Kuhn.
So, am I okay shutting my camera off for 2 minutes?
Sure, go ahead. Sure.
Awesome.
So
Thank
with
you.
Author Circle, we have a few other weekly and monthly live shows throughout Facebook and YouTube. So I just want to make people aware we have an open up show where people share their life journey. Usually it's a male talking about the story, but not always. We have a live talk show. It's usually on Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have Billy. It's a Tamil live talk show. It's usually Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a monthly webinar for Saturday of every month at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we bring expertise, organizations, and discover a particular topic each time. We have a monthly special show, The Unspoken Tears, usually the second Saturday of every month from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The focus on domestic violence against men, bullying, male sexual abuse, traumas, porn addiction, human trafficking. So we help people, men, through those times with these shows. And the Author Circle, which we're on right now, we want to bring individuals who've been contributing to the well-being of men and boys through writings, articles, media, and recognize them and appreciate them. The show runs on the third Saturday of every month from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. If you are an author and you've written a book or a program, feel free to reach out to us and we can see about getting you on one of our shows as a special guest. We have podcasts. All of our shows are available on 6 platforms, including iPhone, Google Play, and so on. We have monthly men's group meeting only for men by men every 2 weeks on Tuesdays from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. through Zoom. The next one will be coming up in a few weeks. Please join us through Zoom. The link is available on our Facebook page and group. We have a show called Pass the Talking Stick. It's Indigenous peer-to-peer support group. Fourth Friday of every month from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. through Zoom. There are no limitations with gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups. All walks of life can participate in any of our shows. So if you want to be guest on any of our shows or willing to be part, please let us know. We love to work with individuals, professionals, experts, community organizations, associations, corporations, government officials, and businesses. Our phone number is 437-889-8329. Our email address is info@voiceofmen360.org. Website is voiceofmen360.org. So you can find us on Facebook and as well Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. So please subscribe and join in. We'd like to have more people that we can assist and we can get their ideas as well. So let's return back to our conversation with Wayne. And the second half of our conversation will focus on the solutions that Wayne can provide through his book and his ideas and expertise and wisdom. And many people that are very successful in life have routines. Many people that are not successful have routines. So there's different routines that we can follow in life. And many people are asked, successful people are asked, well, what do you do? When do you wake up? When do you go to sleep? How does your day work? So I'd like to start up with that. There's many things we can cover on. For us to cover everything, it's not going to happen today. I know you folks are watching going, tell us all your secrets. It's not going to happen. You need to go out and purchase the book and or enlist Wayne's services as a guest speaker at his event. He's been to a few recently. So, and he will talk about what is the story with those red balloons. I already know what the balloons are, but start off first of all in a short version is what's your routine? Because a lot of people think successful people wake up early, some wake up early, some wake up late. And is it the time that you spend or is it what you put in the time? Give us a little enlightenment because that is, I'm trying to look at my notes, what page that is. That's later in the book, but I'd still think that that's a valuable thing to enlighten people with. What's your routine?
Okay, excellent question. Let me start off by saying everybody's different, and I think I've been challenged on my routine. And what I would say is my routine may not fit for you. And there's been a number of books come out that says, oh, you should get up at 6 o'clock, you should get up at 5 o'clock. Some say, oh, I'm up at 4 o'clock. Like my question is, what time do you go to bed? Well, see, when I was a realtor, they would say, oh, well, we go to bed at 9 o'clock. Well, I'm sometimes still in a customer's home writing an offer at 9 o'clock. So there's no way I'm going to come home at 11 o'clock at night and get up at 4 in the morning. Like, to me, biologically, that's not healthy and that's not happening. So some of these ideas that are out there may fit for some people, but I don't think they fit for others. So my suggestion is, and now that I'm retired, I'll admit I sleep in some mornings if I've got something going the night before or night after or whatever, before. But I believe you mentioned the word routine. Routine is like habits, and we need habits. We are creature of habit. I heard a statistic the other day that 80% of what we do is by habit. And one of the examples I always use is when you get in your car and you go for a drive, stop and think of what you did. We can jump in the car, turn the key, put it in drive away and not even think what we're doing. When you eat, you'll have a fork and you will eat with that fork the same way all the time. It's a habit. You don't have to think. Sure, you make adjustments, but it's not really thought. You run automatically. When I took ballroom dancing, my dance instructor said, don't worry, just keep practicing. Your muscle memory will take over. And after a while, I could float across the dance floor and not think where my feet were. It's habit. And you create a habit or a routine that all of a sudden is automatic. My broker, Louise Stevens, always said, you know what she does in the morning? She has her running shoes at the side of her bed. And 6 o'clock, she gets up and she puts them on. She said, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't go out. And she's a jogger. So she'll go out and she'll run for 15, 20 minutes because that's her routine. And so that's her habit. So for me, I call it the hour of power. I stole that idea from Dr. Schuller many years ago. Remember the Crystal Cathedral? He called the hour of power. I thought, well, Crystal Cathedral isn't there anymore, so I'm going to steal that and I'm going to call it the hour of power because I believe that first hour in your day is the most important because that's when you recharge. That's when you program your mind. So I have something on my computer that I read over every day. And these are my goals. And some of them are lofty, and some of them may be perceived as ridiculous, and some of them I've already achieved. But I read them through every day because that programs where I'm going. I believe some type of meditation. Some have prayer, some have just yoga. Some way of calming your mind is appropriate. So within that hour, I eat my oatmeal. I love oatmeal. I'm not a dietitian or anything, but it works for me. No sugar, just fruit and oatmeal. And that I fire that up. I look forward to that every day. So little things like that. Other people, reading is a good thing. I don't want to sound egotistical or anything, but you know what? I've been preparing for this interview and I was reading my book and I said, did I write this? Because some of the words, what they did is they weren't fantastic words, but they reaffirmed what I believed. And so when you journal, I journal, not necessarily the morning, but maybe a couple times a week. You write down what's happening in your life and affirm where you want to go and affirm who you are and what you really want in life. And so those are some of the things with there's a few more. I don't have it in front of me, but there's about six, I think, six things I list through in that hour of power that I think are important to almost like recharging. It's starting the battery. If I can use another example, I don't know if there's any pilots that'll be listening to this. I used to fly an airplane, but before we got in that airplane and started up and took off, we did a walk around. We checked the oil, we checked the wings, we checked the hinges, we checked the tires. We did a checkup. And when we did that checkup, the plane was ready to take off. And that's kind of what the hour of power is. You check your mind, you check your body, you check everything. You think, wow, okay, I'm ready for the day. And
I'd like to I just like to review one of the things you do, and that's journaling. I've known you a long time, and I never journaled like you did, but I started the last 2 years, and I find it to be very therapeutic, almost like talking to a counselor, relaying what's going on, the good, bad, and ugly. Tell a little more what journaling actually means, because from what I've discovered from your life and what I've discovered, how it's helped me, and I've heard it many other times from other people, how it's helped them heal from the past, recover, and recharge. Just elaborate a little more on that. What does journaling actually mean, and how has it helped you?
okay, I'm sure. And that brings up a point that I wanted to mention today is I wrote It's Time to Recharge, what I would call from a layman's term. For example, when you're happy, there's something that happens within your body. There's chemicals that flow and they hit this and they hit that. And you become magically some who you are. I don't talk like that. And I know you've had doctors on your interviews and authors, and they're very well educated. But I wanted to write a book that a layman person could understand. Because if you look at the stats, men are not big readers. The percentage of men that actually read is very low. And so I wanted an easy book to read. And so I say that because I don't have a clinical definition of journaling. But what I can tell you that I started journaling back in 1988. And you hit it right on the head, Joe, because it was my counselor. I could call it my counselor. Journaling offered me, I could write to somebody. Somebody was out there listening, whether it was God or whether it was somebody was there beside me and listening to what I was saying. And I would write things like, wow, today's a really rough day. I don't know how long I can stay in this relationship. She's driving me crazy. I would tell people, write in the journal, things I couldn't tell anybody else. And I went through that all the way. I went through my divorce with the journal, and the journal became kind of a catch-all for my feelings, a place where I could unload them. And I didn't realize what I was doing. It just seemed to be something. I looked for somebody who can I confide in, and the person that I could confide in was this journal. And I always thought to myself, oh gosh, what if somebody finds this journal and reads it? I got to hide it because there was stuff in there that I didn't want anybody to know. So it was safe. And I have a briefcase downstairs that has like 14 books of journal books in it from my past. And I always thought I'd want to read them, go back and read them. But you know what? I haven't opened them up yet because I'm not sure that I need to. The stuff I remember is there. but I don't need to read out. I don't need to remind myself of that time. If I have to go back, I can. And someday I thought maybe my grandchildren will read that, or my great grandchildren, they'll say, "Wow, Grandpa was really in trouble," like I don't know, but to answer your question, the journaling I think was that person, that safe place that I could go and talk to, and I'll be honest with you, I don't journal as much now. My journaling is a lot shorter, and I can only attribute it to a happy life. I don't have any issues that are worth, how should I put it? I think I'm quite happy and content with the direction of my life, and so that counselor in the journal thing isn't as prominent for me. So
Right.
I'll write things in the journal of what I'm doing or what I'm thinking, what I'm dreaming. This is what I'd like to do. More goal reporting and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I realized after observing your life that the journaling was a lot more powerful than you gave credit to. So I wanted to make a point so people understand. What I
Good.
really like in your book as well, at the end of the chapters, you have what is called discovery questions. And I really like that. For example, this particular page, discovery question, it says, if you had enough money to live the rest of your life with no worries, what would you be doing right now? What are you passionate about doing? Something you know and feel fulfilled when you do it. So what I like about it, it gives people some action ideas rather than just reading a book, setting it aside on the shelf over there. If I showed my camera over there, I've lots of book in this closet, lots of book in that closet, lots of books in the other closet. Is how often do we read the book? Some of the books I read 5 times, and then I write out notes and ideas how to implement what I've learned. So this is actually giving people ideas to do it rather than them trying to figure out what questions they should ask. I really like that.
Good. Good.
So I'd love to hear some other ideas from you in a short version as to what other ideas people can do to recharge their lives. There may be people watching this and they say they can't relate to you because you have a happy life. Maybe they're struggling with a marriage. Maybe they're struggling with an addiction. Maybe they're struggling with depression, anxiety, stress, worry. They may even have the doctor tell me you have cancer. And they go, how can I feel recharged when I have all those feelings that I just feel sad, lonely, depressed? It's all right for Wayne Kuhn to say he's got it all together, but I don't. What can we do to give people hope that maybe they can take some baby steps and then maybe bigger steps, and eventually they feel their life isn't so heavy with big bags of cement in their back. They feel lighter and more peaceful, just like you used to write hundreds of pages. Now you're writing just a few sentences because it's helped you a lot. What can you give hope? A lot of people are struggling right now with what's happened the last few years with the COVID pandemic, with companies shutting down, jobs being lost, and companies closed, going bankrupt. What can we do to offer them some hope?
I think, I guess in a short answer, I would say reach out and show up, um, because life wasn't meant to live alone, and and the the important thing to note, if you are sitting there alone and you're just not happy with what's going on in your life, is that there's somebody out there that has been where you are, and they can relate to where you are. So when you reach out and talk to them about it, they will recharge you, because it's like the journal. Journaling is good, but when you're talking to somebody like Joe, like when we get together for a coffee and life sucks, and I tell you and you listen, to me that I go out of there feeling, oh, it's like um, that pressure is off because I verbalized to somebody, and now you'll take that and you'll dissipate it into the universe because now it's gone because I've let it go. There's something magical about writing things out and putting the words down on paper. There's something magical about telling people how you feel. I think that's why we have support groups. That's why we have AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. We bring people together that have similar things happening in their life so that you can release that energy and release that. The problem we have in society is sometimes we don't get to those people fast enough. And so we miss them. And then we hear that so-and-so has passed. So we need to be able to get to those people, I think, and let them know that we care and we can help. You just have to show up. You just have to reach out. So how do we get those people to reach out before they shut down? And that to me is, it's a battle that it's ongoing. I can't recharge you if you don't show up. I can't recharge you if you don't read the book. I can't recharge you if you don't watch this video. You know, I can't read your mind. You have to show up. So,
and that's a predominant theme throughout your book. You talk about mentoring, getting coaches, being accountable, having friends. So one thing I admire, you visit your mom regularly, usually on Wednesdays, and you get her groceries. What is your mom's age? How young is your mom?
Oh, no. You know, I thought about that the other day, and I think, you know, Mom and I haven't always been this close. And now the dad passed away 10 years ago. I visit Mom usually once a week, pretty routinely, and we chat for an hour. And she's become kind of a friend.
So who is what I'd like to know is who is recharging who? Is Mom recharging you? Are you recharging Mom?
I'm not sure, Mom. I'm not sure. Like, Mom is 90. She'll be 95 this year.
Wow.
And I'm not sure. You read about the box in my book. Yes. Well, Mom has a box, and I'm not sure her box is open to recharging, right?
Yes.
So, and the older you get, the more fixed your box is, and you're reluctant to let new things into the box or let things out of the box. And so I accept my mom just the way it is. We chuckle because her and I have similar beliefs, because yeah. I was my beliefs came from her. You know, I talk about, you know, she's really cheap. She said to me, she says, do you think I can afford to go out for lunch? You know, it's going to cost me $15. You know, and that's, your mom can afford it, but she's still frugal, and I've inherited that, and I'm part of me likes that, and part of me, you know, it inhibits me, and so we're not going to change Mom much. We kind of have to soften her, and when you get close to 95, your filters, I don't know if you heard of filters, they start to reduce, and people start telling you the way they think. And so we have to be careful that we sometimes we listen to things, and it's not, you know, we have to accept it the way it is. And then this whole thing, the LTGB community, bless their souls, you're likely not going to convince my mom that to accept that viewpoint, because it just, you know, they're not there, and that's okay. And not that she's against it, she just doesn't understand it, you know, and things like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting because I look at her and I'm 25 years younger than my mom. My mom was 25 years old when I was born, and so I always look at her and I think, okay, I've got 25 more years to live.
So did you lend her the money for the lunch?
No, she, well, yeah, I guess I didn't lend her the money. I gave her the money because I give her whatever she needs. But
one thing before we go, because we got to hear the story about the red balloons.
Oh,
tell us about the story of the red balloons. Our time's almost up, believe it or not. We could probably be on here 2.5 hours to really get everything we need. So that's why people need to reach out to Wayne personally. So tell us a little bit about the red balloons. How did that come about?
14 years ago, the red balloons came about. I have red balloons wherever I go. I carry a red balloon in my pocket. The red balloons symbolize celebration to me. And I introduced them to my grandchildren. Aiden is 14 now, and he was raised with the red balloons, and he would get them in his birthday cards and that, and he'd shake his head. Oh, it's Grandpa Wayne, red balloons. But to me, they remind me to celebrate. We have so much to be thankful for in life. I know there's bad things happening all around us, but we need to embrace the good things. We need to embrace and be thankful that you and I can connect today. We need to be thankful that you and I, have a roof over our head, that we have food in our refrigerators. We need to be thankful for all that. And the red balloons remind me to celebrate that. Not only to celebrate, but to be grateful for what we have. And you know what? When you are fully charged, more abundance will come to you. So the doors will open. And you've told me about doors opening for you, Joe. And you go, holy smokes, you wouldn't believe what just happened. Because you're in the right mind space and you're connected with the right people. And that's so important is celebrate each day and connect with the people that are recharged and build a recharged community. Because if we're all on the same page, a lot of the negative things that are happening in the world wouldn't be happening. Yeah.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly. I've learned that life is a gift. What we choose to do with that gift, to accept or reject it, cherish it, or chuck it, we make those choices, and it's all up to us in terms of our attitude. Are we grateful for our lives? And many of us are only grateful for the sunshine. We're not grateful for the rain or the snow or the problems. It's interesting what happens when we're grateful for everything, because through the sorrow comes joyful things later. The struggle, there's blessings in that. So I'm really thoroughly grateful that Wayne Kuhn is here today. And I do my utmost to cherish my friendships like diamonds, because life is very short and very fast, how things develop. So I challenge everyone to take heed of what Wayne said today, to do what we can to recharge others, and we in turn are recharged. So how can people reach out to you? What's the best way to reach out to you?
I'm very fairly active on Facebook. It's in LinkedIn. I have a set up there. My book is on Amazon.ca. So just Google my name, Wayne Kuhn, fairly simple name, and you'll see various things popped up on there. But I just want to close by saying thank you, Joe, for this opportunity. I hope we are able to connect with some people, and I hope we can do this again. I think it's productive, and yeah, we'll connect with a lot of men that hopefully will reach out to us and say, hey, can we be part of your group?
Yes, thank you for that, Wayne. And thank you for Voice of Men 360 for enabling this to happen. Thank you, RJ, as well. And I would like to invite people to attend our programs regularly. We have some exciting things happening. So make sure you all have a fantastic day, January 28th. Make it the best day you've ever had. And to Wayne's words, make sure it's a recharge day.
Awesome, Joe.
God bless everyone.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Yes.